day 1,500 full house. I don't know what that is. If you break the condom, it's 500 rands. What is money?
Just call the office there for me.
Africa belongs to South African. I hate foreigner. I hate Krikamba. I hate Kwara. I hate Zaizai. I don't like foreigner. Foreigner must go to their country. I hate foreigners. I am xenophobic. I hate, again, I hate times and times. I don't know how many times. I hate foreigners. I am xenophobic. I don't like foreigner because foreigners, I don't have a child because of foreigner. Ramaphosa, take these foreigners to their country, right?
As a member of Operation Dudula and as a member of the bona fide of this country, we fought for this country so that we must enjoy the economy of this country. Today, we don't enjoy the economy of this country. The economy of this country is enjoyed by foreigners. You look at the whole of South Africa, corner to corner, even in the villages, is the sponsor shop of the Ethiopians and Somalians. So when you can go to Ethiopia and Somalia, it's empty. The whole of Zimbabwe is empty. Malawi is empty. So we must accept each and every little Tom, Dick and Harry. Our tax must maintain the whole of Africa. No, we cannot do that. And Cyril Ramaphosa is not a taxpayer. He's a taxpayer stealer. Even now, he stole millions and billions. Even now, he wanted to steal 700 million. That's what we are defending here. So what must happen? This government must be disbanded because of foreigners are enjoying our whatever what we fought for all these years. Today the economy, it's in the hands of foreigners. When you go and apply for anything, you cannot get anything. So what I'm saying is that first thing, government, they must make sure the whole of this country, there is a barbed wire fence. Yeah. Secondly, they must dispatch soldiers. Thirdly, this useless Minister of Home Affairs, he must make sure that he deport each and everything out of this country because we want only two types. Only two types of foreigners. The one who possesses a rare skill and the one who's having 5 million plus. As for the rest, they must go to the nearest state. And those who are claiming... Go back home.
Salute, patriots, salute!
Before handing over their memorandum at the N4 Gateway Industrial Park, the protesters ensured that traffic came to a complete standstill. Scores of residents from Mamelodi, east of Pretoria, have gathered for a march to the N4 Gateway, demanding job opportunities. They say they are frustrated with the company's alleged hiring practices, which they claim favors undocumented foreign nationals over locals. The protesters say they have been jobless for far too long and are determined to secure employment opportunities for themselves.
We are hoping that today we are going to be fine because we are suffering. You know, there's no job and many people from outside, they are busy working and our citizens, South African citizens, we are suffering.
We've been staying at home for so long. We'll end up doing things that are not even in the right way.
The Soul of Africa Civic Movement says this isn't their first engagement with the business owners at the N4 Gateway Industrial Park, and they are pushing for more local residents from Mamelodi and surrounding areas to be employed. The movement's chairperson Bongane Ramonja expresses hope that the march will yield positive results, particularly job opportunities for the youth.
The reason why we've marched in N4 Gateway, we've written a letter to N4 Gateway to state that we need them to employ our people from our surrounding area of Nelmafias and Mamelodi, and they've not done that because we have the stats.
Africa belongs to South African. I hate foreigner. I hate Krikamba. I hate Kwara. I hate Zaizai. I don't like foreigner. Foreigner must go to their country. I hate foreigners. I am xenophobic. I hate, again, I hate times and times. I don't know how many times. I hate foreigners. I am xenophobic. I don't like foreigner because foreigners, I don't have a child because of foreigner. Ramaphosa, take these foreigners to their country, right?
In fact, why don't you take up the opportunity? Why would you come and make your fortune here in South Africa when, as you've described it, you could be making a fortune in Zimbabwe? Why are you here?
Because I'm part of the problem in Zimbabwe. My attitude of thinking that I had to come and take up the opportunity that was offered to me here,
so why don't you go
instead
home?
of mining
May
land.
I ask you that? Why do you not
I
go
am
home?
going home. But
Are
right
you?
now, I've also got family in South Africa. I've got South African children, and those South African children don't just allow me to just stand up and leave, but I do have projects that I'm taking part in Zimbabwe because I've learned that those resources are the most important thing.
If you have such faith in your country, in Zimbabwe, I would say and I would think you would get up and you would take your family and you would go and fix up the future of Zimbabwe. If you're saying there's land, if you're saying there's minerals, if you're saying there is so much wealth and opportunities for you there, you're living a contradiction.
No, I'm not living a contradiction.
You certainly are. By sitting here, you're living a contradiction.
Why,
because people are suffering in Zimbabwe.
so why are people
but you're
not
languishing
why
here.
are people not going to the Netherlands? Why are Germans not going back to Germany? Is it because their countries are bad? Is it because they're running away from problems in the UK or in the States? Why aren't Europeans going? What are you doing here?
I live here. This is my home. I'm not running away
But
from
why,
it.
why are you living here instead of
There's
Europe?
great
Why did your
opportunities and I
great-grandparents
love
come
this
here instead
country.
of Europe?
We're not talking about grandparents. We're talking about me.
No,
We're talking about
you've
you.
made it sound like a Zimbabwe needs to go back to Zimbabwe to show that Zimbabwe is working. So why are Europeans not going back to Europe? Why are Asians not going back to Asia? Why are they staying in South Africa?
The context of the conversation is that you're saying that Zimbabwe...
The issue of Zimbabwe.
Yeah. We've got to approach the issue of Zimbabwe somewhat dispassionately. Leave our emotions out of it and deal with the facts. What are the facts? The facts are there is, without any doubt, an influx of people from Zimbabwe into Botswana. They end up taking up the most menial of jobs. As a matter of fact, many of the jobs that they end up taking are jobs that our own people are not desirous. There's no serious appetite on our citizens for these jobs. And there's nothing wrong with not liking a particular job. And therefore, when an opening arises, you're not interested. But we also must acknowledge that there will be somebody else, either out of desperation or whatever reason, who will be interested in taking this job. And so that person comes in, without any doubt. How did this person come in? They came in illegally. But they are doing the job. They are already here. What do? We can choose to spend money and send this person back. The moment you leave this person at the border, they cross back and by the evening they are here. So are we succeeding? No. How then do we deal with this situation? We could deal with it by, and when they are illegal like that, because they are hiding, they end up involved in crime. They end up exploited. And this exploitation makes it even more unappealing because they will take this job for next to nothing. And so the employers, those who have these jobs, who are hiring them, prefer them to citizens because the citizen will want more. So there is a demand for people who will work for a pittance. So they themselves are exploited. Why are they exploited? They are outside the protection of the law because in the first place, When they came in, they placed themselves outside the protection of the
position of Operation Dudula of stopping foreign nationals from accessing public service facilities, authorities say is illegal. In South Africa, all individuals, and that includes foreign nationals, are entitled to access basic healthcare services as part of what the Constitution provides for. What is the organization's response?
So let me start with the Constitution, because unfortunately our Constitution has been misrepresented. Now, the Constitution talks about South Africa belongs to all who lives in it. Now, that's the preamble. But before we get to that line, there is something else at the top when nobody's talking about that. It says that we as the people of South Africa. Now, this constitution was drafted after the apartheid times. Now, this meant that it was the inclusion of the people that were disadvantaged at that time, which were black, colored, and Indians. Now, when the constitution was drafted, it was the diversity, inclusion of the people that were disadvantaged. It was not talking about foreign nationals. There is no country that will draft a constitution that will accommodate illegality. Now, that's the same reason why we have an immigration act that will talk together with the constitution. Now, Section 17 talks about how people should come to this country being documented and have medical insurance. Now, people are not talking about that. Now, yes, it's correct. Under the Constitution, it says that everyone has the right to health, education, and all of those. But also, subsection 2 talks about when there is enough resources. Currently, we as South Africans, we are battling. Our systems are suffocating. So I want us to peg the Constitution aside, because the Constitution is protecting the citizens of this country. Now, there is nothing lawless with what we are doing, because we are a failed nation, failed by our own government. The very same people who are claiming that whatever that it is that we are doing is illegal, they are the ones that were supposed to be enforcing these laws, making sure that we don't have people coming in and out of the country without proper documents. Now, when one comes to a country, they will come with a permit, and the permit or visa will state what are they here to do. If they're here to do business, then they will have a minimum of 5 million invested in this country. Now, what we are seeing is that we have people who are undocumented claiming what belongs to South Africans, because we are the taxpayers. We have all the right to use these facilities. Now, we are not saying they must not use they must not get medical attention. All we are saying is that we want South Africans to be prioritized, and if they are to use these facilities, then they need to pay for it. I think that's all we are saying, that they must go to private hospitals, because public should be reserved for South Africans, because they have all the right. They are the taxpayers in this country.
Is the challenge of undocumented foreign nationals then not one that needs to be addressed uniquely through the channels that are available via institutions like the Home Affairs departments, border controls or management bodies, etc., without it being linked to access to health and schooling, which are basic rights for all?
So, this country is lawless, I must say, and we are being failed by the very same people who are supposed to be doing their work. Now, Operation Dudula, in its inception, we have marched to all these departments. I mean, we've marched to the Home Affairs, Department of Health, Education. There is no one that will claim that we have not submitted a memorandum with a list of demands. And part of those demands are that we want our borders to be closed. I mean, we have porous borders. We have ghosts that are living in this country we can't even account for. Somebody will tell you that foreigners, it's only 4% of the population in this country. How do you count people who are undocumented? I'm just wondering where they're getting that percentage from. But the failed state is leading to this, that civil organizations like Operation Dudula are now standing up for themselves and making sure that they save the little that's left from this country. Now, we've sat on net joints where all the stakeholders were there, your SEPs, Home Affairs, immigrations, and all of them. And, we've done a nice presentation to them to show them that, our country is deteriorating, buildings are dilapidating, there's illegal connection everywhere because of the hijacked properties. And, there's at schools, there's overcrowding at schools, hospitals, people, give birth on the floors because, there's just no order in this country. But they would not listen to us. Now, this is I'm talking about something that happened 4 years ago. Now, 5 years later, we are sitting here with a bad situation that not even the government itself can be able to control, because we have all the continent uniting here in South Africa, and it's not fair for us. And we don't hate them, but what we're saying is that we're not coping as South Africans. I mean, we want South Africans to be prioritized. That's what we want as Operation Dudula, and that this country needs to be law. There needs to be law and order as per the Constitution, as per the immigration laws. If people can just respect that, then we would not be here today.
So is Operation Dudula
where you think foreigners fit into this new raised and rebuilt Alexandra?
I'm saying to people, these people that have moved from their countries to South Africa are not going to go back. And I always make a joke about, look at people that came to South Africa in 1652 on the 6th of April. They're here and they're interviewing me in the studio.
Wow.
They're descendants. They're here.
It's got to be such social, habitable kind of people.
And they're not going to go.
Hello, sorry.
Hello.
Can I please see your papers? Where are your papers?
What papers?
Do you have a permit to sell those eggs?
Do I need a
You are stealing our jobs. Can I please see your papers?
What job did I steal?
Can I please see your papers, sis? You are even giving me an attitude. Can I please see your papers?
I don't have any papers.
You don't have...
Hey, Mami.
Yeah, what you say?
Morning.
Morning, I'm good.
Sharp. You've got passport?
Yeah, I have passport, but I have passport number.
Yeah, today I see you have passport, but you're working. I want work permit.
Permit?
Yeah, give me work. Hey, come. Hey.
We demand that no foreigner must own spaza shops or local businesses. You can't move as far as Somalia to come and sell chappies. It is not xenophobic to say certain businesses must be set aside for South Africans. You are not an investor, Comrade Zamani. You are not an investor if you move from as far as Somalia to come and sell bread. That is not investment. South African can sell that bread. We demand the removal, urgent removal of all illegal foreigners. We welcome everyone in South Africa, but you must enter legally. You go through the border control, you are checked, you come in, we account for you. The dangers of illegal foreigners is that you can't account for them in the country. It is not only a security problem, Comrade Nzoza, it is also heavy on the health and education infrastructure. Because you must budget for people in the country. You must know every year how many schools you are building. Now, if you allow the corruption in your borders, Comrade Nzoza, and they come in illegally, they do crime here, they leave, you can't account for them. It's a security issue. We're saying urgently, South Africans are demanding the removal of illegal foreigners. They're demanding that the
everyone inside, don't move. Hello. Everyone don't move. We are going to do a search. Hello, brothers. How are you? We are doing crime prevention. Close the gate.
Can I have that?
What's your name?
One.
Yourself. This is the same person who got inside. This one is naughty. No, we found you inside. I remember you.
I don't work inside.
I remember you.
This is my friend.
Your friend? He came with you. So your friend and you got the same name?
Yeah, the same name.
Listen, they got the same name.
Yeah, the same name.
No. Where did you get this thing? When did you get it?
Long, 2009. 2009.
He's saying you got the ID 2009. The date of issue here is 2003.
No, this one is old one. Make it really new.
Look, they are not doing any more green ID. No more. Since 2023, this thing was phased out. You are playing games when. I'm telling you, we are not doing green IDs anymore. You take a fraud. This one is fraud.
I need to use this for the invitation.
Look, the date, 2023. I signed that ID there. The green
Yes. F number. Then.
I grew up in Mabopane. You are insulting us. The royal, they call it Iptombi in the CBD of Tshwane. We are going to arrest this guy. This guy has been here in South Africa from 2017. His work permit says 2021 and expired 2023 in June. So he's here illegally. What we are going to do, we are going to even arrest his employer because he must be charged. But this one, we are going to arrest and deport. Thank you very much. Because you are selling, you are doing prostitution. Why don't you accept?
They are doing their business. Why must they pay you? Why are they paying you?
Because I lent in room for
How much? How much is the room?
You are borrowing
Thousands. Give us the receipt.
Yeah.
The last receipt of today, because there are people, the receipt.
No, it's here.
Oh, there's no receipt here.
Let's go payable today. There was a client of 500 plus another 500.
500.
Yeah, because they don't.
Yeah, 500 plus another 500. Yeah. She had two clients.
This not. It's just for paying me the land.
The land for what?
I lent the room for him. So you stay here.
So it's 1,000 a day.
Per week. This is per week.
They give you 1,000 per week.
Yes,
they give you 1,000 rent every week.
Yes.
Yeah, you are correct.
You are correct. You are coming okay now.
Yeah,
continue.
Okay, yeah.
So they give you 1,000 per week. And
Residents of Tshwane, we are back at Iptombi. This time we brought a powerful team, a coordinated team that's going to deal with the illegalities that happen here. We've had different teams coming to enforce bylaw, but they were not coming as a team. Currently, we are busy closing down the place. On the 15th of October, our emergency services guys came and they closed down. It was not even an hour later when they opened themselves. You know that we're here one night where we just needed to check for ourselves what made these guys so powerful that even when we close them down, they open themselves. Now, what we are doing now, we're closing them down because the extension of this structure is illegal. There is a brothel happening here, and because this has a liquor license, they're not supposed to have lodging. Now, that brothel is illegal. It's not approved, even though their original document talks about a hotel. They don't have a fire certificate. They don't have an LED certificate. And so because of those reasons, we are closing them down. For them to open, they must submit building plans to us. So those building plans will enable them to apply for other licenses. But also what is concerning is the fact that there were items that were not being built. For instance, waste. These people have about 20 bins. We collect here, but they've never been included in their bill. So we are dealing with Iptombi residents of Tshwane, mostly because it's concerning what is happening here and what is happening to people's sons and daughters in this establishment is unacceptable. I know that we do joke about it. Maybe when you have a problem, you do joke about it. But we knew in our hearts that we need to deal with this, and that's exactly what we are doing. And so what we'll also do is just to arrest the guy for the illegal activities that are happening. So we'll take the guy who's also a guy that we've had issues with in Sunnyside. Anyway, the story is too long. For now, we're just saying Iptombi is closed until further notice. Here's money.
This cooler office is there for me.
Yeah, got into this.
No, call the officers there, please.
They're paying coins in this people. I think it's the jukebox. Oh, no. Yeah,
But
to
this is
see
how
the
they-
It's 1,000 whole day, 1,500 full house. I don't know what that is. If you break the condom, it's 500 rands. What is 30 minutes blow and dog, normal and blow message and ooh. Say
Where did you get this thing? When did you get it?
Long, 2009. 2009.
He's saying you got the ID 2009. The date of issue here is 2003.
No, this one is old ones. This make it really new.
No, they are not doing any more green ID. No more. Since 2023, this thing was phased out. You are playing games well. I'm telling you, we are not doing green IDs anymore. Take a fraud. So he's here illegally. What we are going to do, we are going to even arrest this employer because he must be charged. But this one, we are going to arrest and deport. Thank you very much.
Hey man, what are you doing in the dustbin?
I'm looking for food.
I'm looking for food. Where do you come from?
I come from Zim.
Come from Zim?
Yeah.
Oh, take this cough. Drink.
Thank you so much, boss. Thank you so much.
Yeah, we are.
Thank you so much, boss.
Okay, it's fine.
It is Penny Wild, the Black Pen. Very sad this morning. I wanted to do an interview with Unhlanhla Lux on Instagram Live. We had agreed to go live at 7 a.m. And then when I contacted him before we went live, he told me some unfortunate news on his side. The hope is that either later today or maybe later on in the week, I will still do an Instagram Live with him. And we will unpack Operation Dudula from the horse's mouth, so to speak. I was listening to an interview of his on Metro FM this morning. I saw that he did an interview on ENCA, and I saw that they were protesting in Hillbrow. They've protested in other places as well. I'm not sure in what capacity Unhlanhla Lux is involved in Operation Dudula, but he has sort of become their spokesperson now. I did see their chairperson, Tabang, I think Senota. The chairperson was also being addressed in the news last week. Just very high level. Operation Dudula is a group of military veterans, some guys that were from Umkhonto weSizwe who have partnered with members of the community to try and Dudula and get rid of people within our country that they feel are not meant to be here, whether it's illegal foreigners or other people that are not doing good things for this nation. Unhlanhla Lux had started Soweto Parliament. One of the things I would like to ask him when we do the live is how Soweto Parliament is doing. It was basically meant to be a platform for young people to lead. I met Unhlanhla Lux last year for the first time. We've been meaning to have a sit down together to discuss politics, business, and the future. I have said on my social media in the last couple of years that it has become very, very important that young people take up leadership positions. We can't constantly complain about old people in parliament, old people in businesses, and yet we don't want to put our hands up and lead. Leading is not easy by any means, and especially when you put your hand up to lead, you must understand that the old people will try to push you out. They've got experience, they've got resources, they might have guns, they'll use intimidation and other strategy, but it's important for you as a young person to fight back. We've seen Julius Malema do such, we've seen Mbuyiseni Ndlozi, we've seen Andile Mngxitama, we've seen Zuleika in her capacity fighting for hair at Pretoria Girls High. I don't know this lady's name, but the lady who was head of the SRC at Wits when they were fighting for Fees Must Fall. We've seen young people, you know, get louder in trying to lead. And it's important that each and every one of us, young people, by young, I'm talking age 16 to age 20 to age 25 to age 30 to age 35. Young people that within your own family structures begin challenging your parents, begin challenging your grandparents. Within your community, begin challenging the elders there. Because that's how we'll get things to become better. We can't constantly be oppressed and bullied by old people with outdated ideas when some of their ideas and their strategies are going to hurt us moving forward into the future. I've been asked a couple of times to do a video on what I think about foreigners in South Africa. For a while, when I was still black conscious, when I was still claiming to be a Pan-Africanist, I, like Julius Malema and the EFF, believe that we need to remove the borders in Africa. I believe the borders were set up by colonialists for their own reasons. When the Portuguese and the British and the Belgians and other people, the Italians, I guess as well, when they came into South Africa, or not came into South Africa, when they came into Africa, they created these borders, these fences to say, okay, we're taking this piece of land, we're taking this piece of land, without necessarily consulting the locals. In South Africa, obviously, we were a British colony. So the British went and ring-fenced and said, this is our piece of land. If you look at a place like Mozambique, the Portuguese came in there. A place like Angola, the Portuguese came in there. I think in a place like Namibia, it may have been the Italians and maybe some Germans. In other parts of Africa, there's a lot of French places, French colonies, which were, you know, Côte d'Ivoire, those type of places where they've ring-fenced. And they created these borders. And as black people have somewhat become liberated, as Africans have become somewhat liberated, we've kind of respected and also internalized these borders that were given not by us, but by people that were coming to take from and oppress and exploit African people. So the EFF, along with a lot of black conscious Pan-Africanists, are saying, remove the borders. Let us have one Africa. Let us have one currency, which is what Muammar Gaddafi wanted as well with the African Union. Fortunately, he was killed by the Americans, who celebrate to this day. But Muammar Gaddafi wanted Africa to have one currency, wanted Africa to be united. And if you look at the fact that Africa's got about 1 billion people, and then you compare it to an India, which is one country, which has, I think, 1.2 billion people, and then you've got a China, which has 1.3 billion people, and you've got a United States of America with over 300 million people. The question is, why can't Africa also be one United States of Africa? We are trading with each other, where we are one community and one nation, so to speak. As time has gone on, looking at what's happened on the continent, in the world, I've begun to understand and respect the concept of borders. Not necessarily in the way they're set up now. Obviously, I believe they need to be changed majorly. They don't serve some of the people they're meant to be serving. If you look at how our trading and our currencies move, they're not serving the people they're meant to be serving. If you look at the laws that are set, still by and large, they serve a lot of the colonialists, being the French, the British, the Portuguese and others, and also serving some of the really wealthy white people on the continent. Obviously, we've seen the rise of the black wealthy, people like your Aliko Dangote, Patrice Motsepe, Mike Adenuga, a couple of other families, the Mansour family, I think in Tunisia, I don't know if it's in Tunisia or Egypt, the Sawiris family, I think in Tunisia or Egypt as well. There's been a rise of black wealth who also have ridden on these policies that have been set up to make sure that certain spaces are protected. Protected in the sense that you can't trade here because you're not a local. You can't buy a business here. You can't set up a business here because you're not a local. You can't buy property here because you're not a local. And a lot of these guys have benefited from that. If we look in the South African context as well, you'll find that in certain provinces, you can't get tenders because you're not a local there. In certain places, you can't do business because you're not known by the community. Which is a similar type of mindset. We have a border problem in South Africa. What does that mean? It means our fencing around our country is not secure. Especially in places like Eswatini, places like Lesotho. If you walk around or drive around the country, you'll find there are places where it's just open. And people walk into or out of South Africa without passports, without going through the border, without declaring anything. For that, we have to blame our government. We have to blame, I guess, what we call Home Affairs, which is meant to be our social security department. We blame our police services. Our borders are not great. Our government is not doing a good job of keeping what we call African foreigners out. And that needs to be resolved. The reason I changed my mindset when it came to borders was because I took a step back and I looked at my home and I looked at my community and I asked myself, would I be comfortable with someone coming into my home unannounced? Would I be comfortable with someone jumping the fence, going through the gate without getting my permission in my home, and then within my home coming to set up whatever they want to set up and build their own wealth or whatever the case may be in my space? And the answer was no, especially if I've bled for my land, if I've worked really hard to get a bond and pay off this piece of land or this property, and then someone just comes in and takes over. Not only takes over, but sometimes they dirty the place. They come in with prostitution, they come in with drugs, they come in with a very filthy habit where they come in and they litter and the place is smelly and there's rats and cockroaches. So when I listen to people like Julius Malema speaking about opening borders, he would not, along with a lot of other people that agree with him, he would not be comfortable with unwelcome guests coming into his home and setting up. For a lot of the well-off that live within secure estates, whether it's a Stain City or Waterfall City or some other complex that is closed, people are not comfortable with anyone just coming in and out. They have security at their gates. They have highly secured fences. You know, you get a code. Security asks who you are. You need to get permission to come in. All the way to certain neighborhoods in places like Johannesburg, which are gated communities, which have boom gates where you can't just get in. It's a neighborhood. It's not an estate. It's not a complex, but it's a neighborhood where the people in the neighborhood have gotten permission to put in boom gates and to put in a security where if you're coming to visit a friend there, the person has to agree with security. Yes, you can let them in. Those are some of the people that are comfortable with saying, open the borders. When you open the borders, where do these illegal people go to? They go and they set up squatter camps, which means they illegally occupy land. They go and they move into townships with poor black people. People that can't fence and control the spaces that are in. And the Julius Malemas of this world are fine to say that because they live in secure, closed spaces and they don't want unwelcome guests in their spaces. And I realize, no. Number one, I'm not happy with people coming into South Africa illegally. That means they don't have a passport. They don't have either a tourist visa or permit. They don't have a work or study permit to be here. I don't want illegal foreigners here because no one wants people that are unwelcome in their space, wherever their space may be. It could be a church, it could be a school, it could be a property, it could be a farm, it could be anything. Number two, it is very, very vitally important that we do address the topic of borders. Do our borders still serve who they are meant to serve? Should there be borders around Lesotho, or should we open up and let Lesotho become one with South Africa? Should we do the same with Eswatini, with Mozambique? What does that mean? Does it mean they will also be paying tax? Does it mean we'll be making revenue from whatever business activities do they have? Who should we be deciding? Because with a South African passport, for example, I'm guessing, I could be wrong, but I think the South African passport allows you to go to about 90 countries in the world without needing a visa, which means our passport carries some weight. The American passport is very powerful. The European passport allows you to travel anywhere in Europe very easily. And it allows you to travel into certain countries into the world because the world wants pounds. They want euros. They want American dollars. So they're like, please feel free to visit us whenever you want. You don't have to go through this long, strenuous process. And you don't have to pay 1,000, 2,000 rand just to get permission to come and visit our nation. We need to speak about borders and whether they still serve the people. We need to perhaps shift some of the borders and say, look, maybe we should move the border from here to there. Maybe we should remove some of these borders. Maybe some of the borders no longer work. Should we still be having? And I used to hope that the African Union would speak about things like this. There are very talented Africans on the continent that are either rich, that have some kind of special skill, that are very talented in terms of sports, who shouldn't need to be getting a visa to travel. If you're a musician, if you're a sports artist, if you're a professional sports player, You know, you shouldn't be needing the same permission that a normal person needs. So we need special dispensation. I know Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma, who was the head of the African Union at some point, she had an African passport. I don't know if she still has it now, but she can basically go to African country without needing a visa. So we need to have that type of conversation. The third very, very important point. Operation Dudula and a lot of the other people that have issued with foreigners seem to constantly go for the weakest link. It is easy to attack Pakistanis that are small in their bodies. That are, hey, my friend, you know. It is easy to go for Somalians who are also small in stature, who are a peaceful people. A lot of these Muslim, you know, humble, you know, tolerable, pleasant people. It's easy to go for some Zimbabweans, you know, who are maybe not strong, who don't have weapons, who aren't, you know, fighters or so to speak. It is easy to pick on some of the weak, especially when they come from Africa. The Malawians are very, very poor people. The Mozambicans, they're very, very poor and they're desperate when they come here. It's very difficult to then fight big Nigerians. My brother. It's very difficult to fight a big Nigerian who has guns, who can fight physically, who is not scared of you, who deals drugs, who traffics and prostitutes girls, for example. And then very, very importantly, when we speak about illegal foreigners, we seem to constantly not want to speak about Europeans that came here illegally. 1652, the colonialists, the Dutch, the Germans, the French that came here and then amalgamated and became this mixed breed of Afrikaners. We're not speaking about them. When did they get a permit to come here? When did they get work visas and study visas to come to South Africa, to Africa? When are we addressing them as illegal foreigners that we understand you want to be here and contribute, but please go back to your home nation and then come back in and let's make sure that you go through the processes of being here legally, because you're not meant to be here. And those same white people that came here as colonizers and came and oppressed and exploited black people and took from the minerals of this land have come here and have called themselves citizens, and they've come and they've given us the name South Africa. And they're the ones that came and demarcated the provinces, and they gave us English and Afrikaans, and they gave us Roman Dutch law. They are the ones screaming and shouting, we don't want illegal foreigners here. Sorry, lady. Sorry, Corin. Who gave you permission to come here? These people have come to South Africa like you guys did, looking for a better life. But you have the audacity to tell African inhabitants from a Zimbabwe, our neighbors, from a Mozambique, from a Swatini, from a Lesotho, from a Botswana, from a Namibia, from a Zambia, from an Angola. You have the audacity as a European to come and call those people illegal foreigners when all they want is a better life, like you came here for a better life, and they are on the continent. And they haven't come here. Pakistanis didn't come here and enslave black people. The Indians that were actually brought here by white people to come and work the cane fields and whatever, the Malaysians that were forced to come to Cape Town as slaves, as servants. They haven't enslaved Africans. They haven't exploited African labor. They haven't stolen mineral resources. They haven't killed people and taken their land. But you have, and you have the audacity. When Operation Dudula and some of these other guys are going into a Hillbrow, for example, into a sunny side in Pretoria, why are they not going into a Bedford View? Where we've heard stories about Lebanese and other white foreigners that are there selling drugs, human trafficking, prostitution as well. Why is the conversation only isolated to black Africans who are poor, who have not exploited or killed or taken land from black South Africans? It is because, unfortunately, we have what Frantz Fanon calls cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance is when you have a clashing of ideas. You want to get rid of foreigners, but only certain types of foreigners. You want black unity, but only certain types of blacks. So it's very, very sad that we have this type of situation, but these are some of the conversations, uncomfortable conversations, that we need to have. It's very, very important. Like I said earlier, Operation Dudula and some of their conversations spoke about the fact that certain buildings have been hijacked. We saw the movie Jerusalem, where Udau, Rapulana, I think is his name. I could be wrong. Rapulana Udau. He was Udau, I think, on Generations, where he was acting as this guy who was hijacking buildings as well. But we've heard stories about buildings being hijacked by foreigners in this country. And then they don't allow South Africans to get into these buildings. They don't allow South Africans into the areas. And like I said earlier, there's a lot of neighborhoods, Jewish neighborhoods, Lebanese neighborhoods, we've got Indian neighborhoods where black people can't walk freely in this country. People that came in here, a large chunk of them, that came in as illegal foreigners because they didn't have paperwork. And they came and they settled and they built a life for themselves. We have to speak about Home Affairs, which we know has been corrupted, where people are paid bribes to give illegal foreigners documentation, IDs. Again, like I said, at the border gates, the police are not doing their job. A lot of them are bribed as well. Operation Dudula was disarmed in Hillbrow by the police that are there, that are meant to be serving South Africans. One of the cool things Nhlanhla Lux said on Metro FM this morning, because he was asked, why are you fine with telling people to take the law into their own hands? That's wrong. And he said, no, it's not wrong. The Constitution allows South Africans to take the law within their own hands. As long as it's within the prescripts of the law. You are allowed to have a citizen's arrest. You are allowed to take someone who's committing a crime in your neighborhood, take them, tie them up, and take them to the police station. The law allows you to do that. You are allowed to go and get a gun license and have a gun like a cop and be like, it's folk. It's me and you. I've got a gun. You've got a gun. What are you going to do? We're allowed to do that. You're allowed to protect yourself. Rob Hersoff, in his speech last year when he was speaking at an investment conference, spoke about I don't know if it's the Second Amendment in America, which states that people should have the right to carry arms to protect themselves. One of the reasons is to protect themselves against the tyranny of the state. What that means is, in basic English, is that if ever your government is oppressing you, if ever your president and the politicians and the members of parliament are using the laws, the judges, they're using the police, they're using the soldiers to bully you in your home, in your communities, you should be allowed to carry weapons, guns, whatever, to protect yourself against the potential oppression and exploitation and bullying of the government. Cyril Ramaphosa is trying to centralize state security. We've seen how he, at Marikana, on behalf of the private lawman, he made a call for the police to be sent out there and minors were killed. We saw during the lockdown how soldiers were sent into townships and ended up killing civilians. Civilians who, if they had their own guns, if they had their own military training, would be able to defend themselves. I keep saying, as a penalist, as part of my penalism religion, that people need to get guns. People need to learn to protect and defend themselves. You can't constantly be at the mercy of the police and the soldiers and your government, which we know is corrupt. You have to protect yourself. We saw it at Phoenix. The Indians that have settled in Durban, Indians run a big chunk of KZN and Durban in particular, and it upsets Africans very much. But Africans have, you're no different to an Indian. Why don't you have guns? We've seen the taxi industry has guns, so get guns. We've seen the Somalians in the Eastern Cape, I think it was at Gqeberha, a PE. We saw them that they have guns protecting their businesses. Why don't you have guns? We don't have money. Why don't you have money? It's because you're not supporting and patronizing your own African businesses. If you supported your own black businesses, your own black South African businesses, you would have money to buy guns. Black South Africans play soccer, where if you look at the average black soccer player in this country, they are small in body, very fit, shy road work, but physically small in stature versus a Siyakolis, versus a Lucanio Arm, versus a Mapimbi. If you look at the black South African rugby players, they are big physically. And I've said this before to some of my mentors, that rugby is a hidden way of military training for white Afrikaners. If we can get more black kids, more black South Africans to play rugby, to play basketball. I mean, if you look at the basketball guys in America in the NBA, your LeBron James, your Shaquille O'Neals, your Michael Jordans, I want to mention this guy's name, Kobe Bryant. Those guys are huge, they're big. So why are your black African kids not playing basketball? Why are they not playing rugby? Why are they not building themselves physically into looking like the Nigerians, like the Congolese, like the Ghanaians, and become forces of nature, the same way we've seen what Hitler and them did with the Germans, building a huge nation. We've seen some of the Americans that play football or whatever the case, they're big people. That's how it works, because you constantly have to protect your space. Land has always been fought for historically. Always been fought for. It's nothing new. Whether it's informal settlements, whether it's people that are hijacking buildings, whether it's people coming into your neighborhood that are coming from another neighborhood. Again, when I speak about foreigners, because one of my penalism principles is about adopting a foreigner mindset. A foreigner mindset is about seeing the world that you live in and coming at it with a fresh eye. Foreigners are willing to work hard. They're willing to work long hours. They're willing to bend or break the rules to get ahead. Because in an unfair space where your land was supposedly stolen, where the laws and your constitution serve a minority of wealthy people, the only way for you to get ahead is to work harder, to work longer hours, to underpay yourself, to enslave yourself, and then to bend and break the law, because that's how you'll get ahead. There are people that lie on NSFAS applications. There are people that have lied to get the 350 Rand social relief grant. There are people that lie to get RTPs. There are school teachers that steal stationery at schools for their kids. There are nurses that steal medication for their kids. There are people constantly lying because they know that if I follow the law and the rules to the T, if I go through the right channels, I will never win, because the right channels are designed and devised for the rich, powerful elite. And the only way for me to get ahead is to go and illegally occupy land. It's for me to go and get an RTP, even though I don't qualify for it, etc., 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 etc. It's to lie on this business funding application so I can get funding. It's to bribe someone so that I can... If you look at it historically, not just in South Africa, across the continent, across the whole world, wealthy Americans were built off the backs of slavery. Europe and its first world status has been built off the back of colonization and exploitation and the stealing of other nations and their resources. The China that we worship today has been built off sweat labor. Sweatshops, factories that exploit their labor. Chairman Mao exploited and killed his own people. China was built off fake goods. You complain about Pakistanis and fake goods in their spaza shops. China that you worship today was built off fake goods and stealing intellectual property from other nations. Because to get ahead, that's what it takes. Anyways, part of penalism principles in the foreigner mindset is to say that a foreigner isn't necessarily someone from another country. A foreigner is anyone who is not of your space. Why do I say this? I say this very importantly because I've posted, controversially so, and people obviously attack me, and I understand why. We are uncomfortable with someone from Eswatini, from Lesotho, from Botswana coming into Johannesburg, seeking greener pastures, looking for work and coming to overcrowd Johannesburg because they want a better life. We have an issue with that because they are not locals. They are foreigners. They're coming to steal our jobs. But if you look at the distance between those places I've literally mentioned, Lesotho, Eswatini, Botswana, and then you compare it to a place like Cape Town, those places are much closer. If you look at some of those people, a lot of them look like us in Johannesburg versus other people elsewhere in the nation. But as long as it's a Indian, colored, white person that has a South African ID, no, this is a local, it's fine. Let him set up a business, let him exploit people. The Stellenbosch Mafia, for example. But a person like us, who just happens to have crossed a border, because he's not from the Eastern Cape, he's not from KwaZulu, he's not from the Northwest, he's not from the Northern Cape, we have an issue with that person. But those same people I'm talking about, they travel to Gauteng, to Johannesburg, to eThekwini, Durban, to eKapa, searching for greener pastures. Why are we not closing the provinces and saying, hey Baba, go back to the Eastern Cape and go build there. Go back to KwaZulu. We have enough security guards and domestic workers and taxi drivers there in Johannesburg. Go back to the Northwest and develop it. Because we keep saying Zimbabweans must go back to Zimbabwe and fix it. Why don't you go back to Zimbabwe and fix it? Why don't you go to the Eastern Cape and fix it? Eastern Cape is one of the most corrupt provinces in this country. Why don't you go back to the villages in Limpopo and develop it? Everyone is coming to Joburg because they all want a better life. I left from Newcastle, KwaZulu to come to Johannesburg for a better life. So the guy from Harare, the guy from Gaborone, came here as well looking for a better life. Unfortunately, these white people have created this fence. If ever Zwelithini got it right to build a border around KwaZulu, I would have also had to cross a border from KwaZulu into Johannesburg. Swatini, there are borders because it's its own country. You have to cross a border. Lesotho, same. People in the Western Cape want to create the Western Cape into an independent state in its own country. People are going to be leaving the Eastern Cape, the Northern Cape, the Northwest, and crossing a border into the Western Cape searching for better opportunities because the head office of Pick and Pay and Woolworths and Naspers and Capitec and other big companies is there. When are you going to go home as a local and upgrade and upskill your home? It's been very sad for me watching white people move into a school, move into a neighborhood and turn it into something great. They hold hands, they support each other, they let their money circulate and they build the school into something great. And then the black people obviously chase after them and want to come send their kids to the school and want to come and work in these businesses. Stellenbosch, Stellenbosch, it's just a little town, but it's been turned into something great. Orania is a piece of private farmland. It's been turned into a town. But black people with the townships that they have can't turn a township into Orania. They can't turn a township. Turn a township into Stellenbosch. Close off your township. Make it a gated community. Make sure that you support the businesses there, that foreigners, you set your own laws, your own bylaws within that township and you say, no foreigners are allowed here. And by foreigners, I'm not only talking about Pakistanis and Somalians and Ethiopians and Nigerians and Zimbabwe. I'm talking about, Baba, if you're from the Eastern Cape, you're not from my township. Why are you here? If you're from KwaZulu, if you're from Limpopo, if you're from Mpumalanga, why are you here? We only service our own people here that are from Lekasi. We must know you. It's a very, very layered conversation that we need to have. Are you a patron of your own family, of your own community? Are you constantly leaving and going to overcrowd the cities? When are you going to go back and build? While you're chasing other people in those spaces just because they don't have an ID that was devised by white people. According to history, whether true or not, the Nguni people and the Bantu people, Bantu, came from the north, from the Great Lakes, and they moved down before there were borders to come and settle here. In South Africa, got the Khoi and the San, what we call the Bushmen today. And we came and we settled looking for greener pastures, for flowing rivers, for nice grass, for cattle to graze, for beautiful mountains. Like everyone else who comes here, whether it's Jan van Riebeeck and the people of the Dutch East India Trading Company, whether it's Nigerians, whether it's Ghanaians, whether it's Congolese, whether it's Zimbabweans. When people from the Eastern Cape are poor and they move up to Johannesburg, when they move to the Free State of Bloemfontein, when people move to the Western Cape or they move to Durban, they are searching for greener pastures. But someone has demarcated that this is a province, this is a Bantustan, this is a border. You need a visa, you need it. And we've bought into it because we are psychologically contained. And we cannot look at the merits of what serves me, what doesn't. Last I checked, British American tobacco, which came from Richmond, or Rembrandt, I apologize, Rembrandt, which was the cigarette company of Anton Rupert, who was the father of Johann Rupert. They had somewhat of a monopoly on the tobacco in Zimbabwe. They were basically the only company that was allowed to import tobacco from Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe is our neighbor. If they have a monopoly, that means other normal black South Africans can't trade with tobacco. And Zimbabwe, I don't know if it still is, but it was the biggest tobacco producer on the continent and one of the largest in the world. So if you've created this border, you create these laws that say, no, only people that have this license and this permit can operate here. Same thing applies to spring water in Lesotho, some of the best tasting water you'll ever have in your life. Who sets the laws? I always say follow the money. Who sets the laws? Who is funding this? Who told Donald Trump to put up a wall for Mexicans when the Italians and the Irish and the whatever were all legal immigrants in America, and they went and they fought and they got in? Now the Mexicans searching for a better life can't get in being told by a European, Donald Trump, who says, my family has been here for generations. We'd also like to be here for generations. We're also coming here looking for a pot of gold like your family, who were illegal immigrants, did, coming to kill the native Indians, the Red Indians in America. At which point do we have these layered conversations and unpack them? What is a foreigner? What is a local? A black man who happens to be president of the country, who is in bed with rich white monopoly capital, who is in bed with them, who makes money, who has fired his workers on his farm, who was partly responsible for the death of miners at Marikana, who has made sure that some of the apartheid rich white people are still rich today for board seats, for shares in their companies. Is that person one of you? Is he a local? Because he is South African, because he's from Limpopo, because he's black? What about the white man who is willing to work with you, who is willing to fund your businesses, who is willing to upskill your children, who is willing to buy from your business, who's willing to help you export? He happens to be white. He happens to be of European descent, but he has done so much for your family. Is he a foreigner? The Zimbabwean who comes to South Africa and is willing to hire your kids, is willing to upskill you and teach you how to fix a car, is he a foreigner? The black person from Kuruman who wants nothing to do with you, will never fund you, will never donate to any of your causes, but who happens to have a South African ID, is he a local and someone that you're willing to support, even though he doesn't care about you? We need to open our minds beyond this and have a more detailed conversation around these things. I understand the need to get rid of criminal elements in this country, not just foreign, but local as well. I understand the need, like I said, for South Africans to get guns, to learn how to fight, to arm themselves, to make sure that they protect their homes, their families, their communities. It's vitally important. I understand the need to make sure that when you're spending money, are you spending it with someone who will reinvest in your community? Are you giving it to a Pakistani spaza shop owner who will give you jobs, who will donate to your child's school? Are you going to a church of a Nigerian pastor who makes sure that you guys have jobs in your community, that your businesses have funding? Or is he